What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode number 289 of the A2D From Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. And I want to give you a request and a heads up. I've been getting a lot of feedback from last week's episode on addictive behavior, and very specifically several comments around developing an eating disorder or a sugar addiction in recovery. The listeners would like to hear more about that and how that might tie into a chemical imbalance. So if you have any input on that, please message me in the next few days after you hear this, as I'll be working on that episode probably in the next week. Okay? Today's episode, number 289, is entitled Mirroring for Manipulation. So I'll be specifically looking at mirroring or mimicking behavior that we can develop in recovery and how it could look like manipulation. And I'd like to start out by saying mimicking behavior, which is also known as mirroring, as a positive thing or just a normal thing, it's typically an unconscious or automatic imitation of something about another person. It can be an imitation of their body language, their gestures, their posture, their mannerisms, the way they carry themselves. Could be an imitation of their speech patterns, their accent, their catchphrases, their tone of voice, that sort of thing. Could be an imitation of their attitude or their view of the world, the social, political, religious, moral issues where you start agreeing with those things and maybe even being outspoken about them the way your friend is. Could be an imitation of their appearance, their clothing or hairstyle, the way they dress, the way they look, the makeup they wear, that sort of thing. And it could be an imitation of their actions, the things they like to do, the food they like to eat, the music they like. So this mimicking behavior, this mirroring, typically is unconscious and automatic as we develop friendships or as we grow up in a certain family. And quite frankly, developmentally, mimicking begins early in life. Infants mirror the actions of those around them, and we, as we're playing with babies and infants, often exaggerate our emotions and our speech to get them to smile and laugh, and they learn to imitate those things to get us to laugh and pay attention to them. So it's not always a bad thing. Some positive effects of mirroring is it increases empathy. It can help us fit into a certain group or situation, and it can build a rapport with friends that we're trying to develop deeper friendship with. Mirroring can also facilitate smoother social interactions, a way for us to learn social cues and communication skills that other people are using and see how it fits in with us. And sometimes it can be used unconsciously or subconsciously to help us reach a desired outcome or success, where we could have a passing thought of, wow, if I try that, maybe I'll have the same success that this person does. So there are some functions that fit in, and hopefully you understand what I'm referring to now by mirroring or mimicking. But there's a distinction when this becomes conscious imitation, because when it's used as a conscious imitation, it often, if not always, is a manipulation tactic. And in recovery, it can be a continuation of the manipulation and deception, the need to feel in control of our circumstances, the denial that is very common in our addiction lifestyle, and we can carry it into our recovery by mirroring people and using that to manipulate things for our own benefit. So let me give you a few examples of how this can be used for manipulation. The first is we can use mirroring to build rapport and trust. We create a false sense of, oh, we have so much in common, or a sense of similarity and connection. And this makes the other person feel like they're understood and liked, which can lead to increased trust and can set up our friend to become our victim. Another way it can be used for manipulation is control. You see, the conscious imitator can steer and control conversations and situations very easily because of this rapport and trust that's been built up. And this buildup of rapport and trust also allows conscious imitators who are manipulative to conceal their aggressive intentions, to conceal their manipulative motives, which often go unnoticed because of the rapport and trust. Or if we think we see a red flag or we have a check or a second thought, we dismiss it very quickly because we go, oh no, I trust this person. So we begin to doubt our own eyes, I guess you could say. We begin to doubt the feelings we have about what we think we're seeing. And actually, this fits right into another way that conscious imitators can manipulate us, and that is their mirroring can be a form of gaslighting. They can use our words and echo them back to us, our statements, our actions, our thoughts, in a way that they're distorting what we said, but it sounds like what we said. And it begins to undermine our own sense of self-worth and reality, because we question whether we're remembering things the right way or the wrong way. And again, we question our own perceptions, and that just sets us up for more manipulation from the person who's using mirroring as a conscious imitator. But let's think about some of the things that could get someone to become a conscious imitator who manipulates. They can be people who know they're different. They've sort of been different their whole life. They didn't fit in. They seemed like the social outcast. They were viewed as antisocial, a loner, what have you. And by mimicking, they can hide their differences and hopefully disguise them enough that we don't see them, and they feel normal. They feel like they do belong and they do fit in. Another reason why people can get caught up in this manipulation through conscious imitation is they really don't have a good self-concept or self-identity. They don't really know who they are or what they believe in, and they're looking for things to believe in. They're looking for influences in their life. They're sort of lost, feel like a stranger in a strange land. And a third thing that can come into play is that they are jealous of what others have in life. The success that they see in you could be something they want. And so they start to imitate you. And often when that doesn't work, they'll want to sabotage your success because that will build up their power and control. People often say imitation is the best flattery. But I like what American psychologist Joyce Brothers said. She said, listening, not imitation, may be the sincerest form of flattery. And I think that fits today's episode really well. Are the people listening, or are they using their imitation as manipulation? And one final thought from Joyce Brothers. She once said, "Love comes when manipulation stops. When you think more about the other person than about his or her actions to you and reactions to you. When you dare to reveal yourself fully, when you dare to be vulnerable." So you see, often we can confuse this imitation as love. We can confuse this rapport as love that's being built up. But Joyce Brothers gives us a good way to think clearly on this by looking for, are they thinking more about us? Are they revealing themselves fully? Are they being vulnerable? Okay. Hope this stirred a lot of thoughts for you. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you'd like to reach out, you can contact me through the link on the podcast. Send me a message. You can send me an email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, www.froma2d.org, and click on the contact page. Keep listening to future podcast episodes, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.